of Gambit, and this is the Get Down. This week's episode is a focus actually not on New Orleans, but on Lafayette and their Festival International, which will be happening in a week from now. Festival International is a really interesting, great free festival in Lafayette that brings musical artists from around the world. They come into town every year and play. There is traditionally a little bit of overlap with the second week of Jazz Fest, but the thing about Festival International that I think is really great is that if you're a New Orleanian, you can't necessarily afford tickets to Jazz Fest because they've gotten pretty pricey, or you don't want to deal with the crowds, or you don't want to be here this weekend because there's going to be so many tourists in town and it feels just a little claustrophobic. Lafayette's only an hour and a half away, hour and 45 minutes down the road, and yet so many of us just never ever go there. So this week's episode and our issue of Gambit that goes along with it, we're going to look at who's going to be playing at Festival International this year, talk a little bit about the history of the festival, and also we have a guide to places to go eat, go drink, things to see while you're there if you do decide to go out to Lafayette for the festival.
Hi, I'm Jake, one of the staff writers here at Gambit. I am here with our A&E editor, Will. Will, what is on your radar next week in the worlds of arts and culture?
Deeply into the cultural scene. We're looking at Easter and a bunch of events. There's a bunch of parades or similar such things. There's Bunarchy on Saturday night in the Marigny. This is a costume bar hopping event. There's gonna be some things that are creepy cute and some things that are gonna be creepy scary. It's a lot of fun. It's gonna circle the bars in the Marigny Triangle starting at 6, I believe, at Marie's Bar. And then moving to Sunday, we have a trio of long-standing French Quarter Easter parades. There's a morning parade starting at Antoine's at 9:45. That's going to go to Jackson Square. There's throws. It's the usual parade format. There's another parade with a lot of big bonnets and floats and carriages. That's going to start at Royal and St. Louis Street at 1 p.m.
Is that the one Chris Owens?
Right. That is the one that she used to lead. That is correct. And, that's going to circle the French Quarter. And then at 4:30, we have the Gay Easter Parade, which is also going to circle the parade. There's a bunch of carriages and a bunch of drag performers in this year's parade. So that is a whole bunch of parade action in the French Quarter Easter, that day. Yeah. I don't know if any of those parade routes meet, but should be interesting. And then finally, we have one non-traditional Easter event. John Waters, filmmaker, Pope of Trash, is at the Civic Theater telling stories.
Very cool.
And he's a great raconteur, so that's always a good show.
Great. What else is on your radar coming up the week after?
Well, I was going to say in Gambit this week, we wrote about a new exhibit that opened at NOMA. It's about African masquerade societies. These are these groups in West and Central Africa that, they exist for a bunch of reasons. There are some that are kind of traditional, cultural, spiritual. There are some that are entertainment. There are some that are just secret societies that are just kind of showing their presence in various ways. But what NOMA has is 4 specific artists, one from Sierra Leone, one from Cameroon, one from Burkina Faso, one from Nigeria, and they each have a distinct style. Those styles reflect the societies that they make suits for. So hard to describe quickly, but I would say if you were someone interested in what are the ties of black masking Indian suits to some of these West African traditions, this is a really awesome way to start exploring because they have some of the same sewn panels with beads, with cowrie shells, with sequins, with feathers and mirabu and stuff like that. So it's a really interesting exhibit. And they have a video room. I should say that if you want to see how these suits actually go on parade or are performed in, they also have an immersive kind of space. So it's a great exhibit.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, Will.
Sure. All right, hey, so there's a lot of festivals locally in April, but there's also festivals if you want to get on the road. This week we're looking at Festival International.
Yeah, so we are highlighting Festival International in this week's Gambit because I think coming up we're going to have 2 issues that are just absolutely packed with Jazz Fest. But Festival International takes place in Lafayette and the first weekend of Jazz Fest. So that's Wednesday, April 23rd through Sunday, April 27th. And so it's a really good opportunity for people who might not have plans to go out to Jazz Fest the first weekend or might want to get out of town and kind of avoid the hassle of being here. There's a really great free festival happening in Lafayette. So Festival International just has a ton of bands and musicians A lot of South Louisiana folk play there, but also they have just people from all over the world come and play. So, some of the people on this year's lineup, there's a Ukrainian band called Yagodi, Red Barat, which I've seen a couple times before. They're killer. They mix brass band music, but with North Indian music.
Well, it's Bhangra, yeah.
Bhangra.
Bhangra funk, yeah.
There's Jig Jam, which I think John Stanton was pretty excited about. It's an Irish band that specializes in bluegrass. Czar Electric, which is also going to be playing at Jazz Fest too. They're an electronic dance outfit with Moroccan folk music influences. And then there's also a lot of South Louisiana musicians playing, like Tiff Lamson and Kelly Jones. They're going to be playing as their folk duo Double Dare. There's just is a great free festival happening in Lafayette. There's always good reason to go check out Lafayette. I think it's an underrated place in the state.
Underrated
So
music center.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the great things thought about South Louisiana, a lot of Cajun food and Cajun music and Zydeco. It's all happening in Lafayette. So.
Right, and a lot of music from around the Francophone world.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you are burnt out on Jazz Fest, then this is a good year to go check out Festival International.
Right.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
Hey guys, Abby here. I'm sitting down today with Kaylee Poche, our staff writer, who wrote this week's cover story on Xavier University being the first HBCU team in rowing to make history. So we're going to sit and talk a little bit about her story. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, Kaylee, tell us a little bit about your story and what inspired you to write it.
Yeah, so Xavier University this fall will become the first HBCU to have a co-ed varsity rowing team. And something that stood out to us was just rowing is not something we typically hear about in Louisiana, and to see a local team making history was something that we wanted to find out more about and see how they did it.
Absolutely, yeah, no. You never think of Louisiana and rowing, so it's really great. It seems like they're making an impact and some history. So I saw you talk to a bunch of people on the team, and their stories are very inspiring. Can you tell us a little bit about their journeys into rowing?
Yeah, so a lot of them, well, none of them had prior experience with rowing, but a lot of them had backgrounds in organized sports, and they said they really liked the structure that it brought to them. A lot of their parents encouraged them to join, get back into that structure, and it takes a lot of commitment and dedication because they're waking up at their practice starts at 5:45 in the morning. So some of them take the bus to get there and wake up even earlier.
And you said they row on Bayou St. John?
Yes.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful spot, and I'm sure they do enjoy getting up that early just to see the sunsets and start their day. That's awesome.
Yes, they said it's almost meditative being out there on the water that early and watching the sunrise.
That's awesome. Xavier's team represents a shift towards inclusivity in sports. What impact do you think this will have on future rowing opportunities for Black athletes?
Yeah, so rowing is still a very largely white sport, but this becoming a varsity team, they're now going to get funding from the university, and there are going to be scholarships available for rowing.
Awesome. So finally, what do you hope listeners will take away from this inspiring story?
Yeah, well, something I'm taking away from it is just the impacts that this is having on the athletes that go far beyond rowing. And that is, they said it's really boosted their self-confidence and taught them that they can do hard things and celebrate their wins.
That's awesome. We all need to hear those. Such a great story. Thank you, Kaylee, for sharing. It's truly inspiring to see how sports can change lives and break barriers. You can catch this story in the latest issue of Gambit out now. Thank you.
Okay, so French Quarter Fest is wound down, and we got a little time to fill before Jazz Fest. What's on the music scene this week, Jake?
Yeah, so, I think we're going to be a little quiet between French Quarter Fest and Jazz Fest coming up. There's still, this is New Orleans. There's always something going on every single night. Coming up next week, on Monday, April 14th, the great Americana vocalist and pianist Lily Lewis, she's throwing a birthday show for herself. Lily is just, I love Lily. Seeing her is always a lot of fun, but also just really kind of affirming. Like she's just very positive in her music. It's just really great stuff. Tuesday, April 15th, indie rock singer-songwriter Caroline Rose is at Gasa Gasa. She's from New York, coming through. Amanda Shaw is going to be at the historic BK House and Gardens on Wednesday, April 16th. Lanyap Brass Band is playing at DBA on Wednesday, April 16th as well. And then this should be a really great show. The saxophonist Brad Walker is playing with drummer Stanton Moore of Galactic. Brad leads his own quartet, and Stanton Moore is going to be filling in on drums. They're at Snug Harbor on Thursday, April 17th. So, you can find a lot more in Gambit and in our calendars, but that's some of the highlights for coming up week.
All right, awesome. Thanks.